Let's call the meeting to order. Roll call, everybody's here. I'm assuming, except for Bruce, I'm assuming he's on his way.
Bruce, I think he's on his way, so.
Okay. Additions to the agenda, I think we have
Two.
underneath personnel, right?
Yep.
We have two underneath personnel. Adopt the
I move
agenda.
to adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
I got a motion from Cheryl and a second from Rick. Any other further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. District proud of, we don't have anything there. Public comment? Anybody here for public comment? Hearing none. Approve and correct the minutes from the May 23rd, 2017 regular school board meeting. That goes in your packets.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I got a motion from Heidi,
Second?
second from Cheryl. Any other further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. Move on to business. Review and consider approval to revise the 2016-17 revenue and expenditure budget.
We had gone over this last meeting. Just a couple reminders that at the top for the general fund, there's a difference of about 309, but remember that was caused because of QComp, and also the integration dollars weren't in there originally, so it was kind of what, the amount that is over is about the same amount that we spent, so it just kind of came in and came out. And then just the other piece down at general fund, you notice we'll have about 1,109,466 unassigned fund balance. That's if we don't spend any of it. We suspect that it might go down a little bit. In this last month, there's still a few things that we believe we're going to have to pay off. And that's also on purpose. We've been looking at for the last number of years, we've been building up our fund balance for about $200,000 a year. That's part of what we put into the budget so that we would have the best chance of getting all the way to the end of the referendum if possible.
Okay.
So other than that, it's all the same explanations that we talked about before. Any questions? Then this is the second time, so I would just make a recommendation that you adopt.
I got a motion from Lou.
Second.
Second from Randy. Any other further discussions? And since this is a business item, anybody in the public have any questions or concerns about any of the business items, feel free to raise your hand that I can call upon you. So and with that, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. Number 2, review and consider approval of the resolution adjusting educational programs and positions effective for the 2017 and 18 school year.
This will be one that the board can think about. I did check with MSBA on this because I wondered why we have to do this at the same time the board adopts my budgets. And we do not have to do this. The only explanation that MSBA said is that a number of districts do it just for clarity. From my point, I've always come forward to the board and I've said, these are the changes that we're going to make for the next year, but we would not have to do it in the form of resolution in the future. So if you have any input on that, you can let me know. For now, I'll ask you to approve it because it's on the agenda. There aren't really a lot of changes for this, virtually none really. The secondary staff reduction is really because of retirement to a staff member, and we get a certain amount of savings by a staff member who has been here for a number of years and replacing that staff member with a staff member who doesn't have the experience, so it costs us less. Of course, that eventually grows back up and we lose the savings year by year. The elementary professional reduction, that's just an elementary paraprofessional reduction that we don't need. It's just, we lost a student, so we don't need to have as much para time. But on the other side of the coin, secondary reductions, when we went to fill the position that retired, we're using some of our staff to do it, but we also need to hire a .6 plus another 6-period class. So there is a cost for that, and so the 5,262 really is taken away from the 56,000 that we saved, because we need to, in order to fill our schedule, we need to add another .6. We're hiring back, we're losing a full-time staff member, we're making some adjustments. We're going to hire a .6 staff member, and then an additional .2 from a 6th class. So really, we're replacing a full-time staff member with a .8 position. Now, I would tell the board that we don't know if we'll be able to find somebody for a .6. It's a difficult position. So in essence, we could lose part of what we think we're going to save, because we may have to hire a .8 position in order to replace the full-time position that is gone. We, at this point, don't have anybody that has applied for the position that we have posted. So we'll keep the board informed. And then the district additions, last year we added a .25 for a 6-period class. That's so that we have more time for our ELL students. And now we're going to finalize that and add it permanently for the whole year. So it'll be really a .2, well, really a 6-period class that we're paying for in order to get more time for our ELL teacher to work with our students who are new to country. Any questions on that? Otherwise, I would just ask for you to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I had a motion from Heidi,
I'll second.
second from Cheryl. Any other further discussions? Hearing none. Roll call, is that we do for the resolutions?
You do not have to have a roll call for the resolution. You can just do a verbal if you wish. Either way, it works.
Okay. Well, I think past practices we've always...
Past practice has been that we've done a roll call for resolution.
Okay, so let's go ahead and just do that.
Okay.
Okay, Mark?
Aye.
Randy?
Aye.
Rick?
Aye.
Heidi?
Aye.
Lou?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
And like I mentioned, if you have any feelings about whether you want to continue to do that resolution piece or just have me bring that information to the board as information, I certainly want to present the information regardless of whether it's a resolution or not.
Right.
But it would not have to be in the form of a resolution. Just send me a text or call, give me a call.
All right. Number 3, review proposed 2017-18 revenue and expenditure budget.
This is the first reading, and I do expect this to change before I bring this back for a vote for the second meeting in June. We do have to have it approved by the second meeting. If you take a look at the general fund, there's between revenue coming in expenditures, there's about a $36,611. This budget is really meant to kind of be just kind of cost neutral. In the past years, we've really tried to increase the unencumbered revenue, or the reserve fund, by a couple $100,000. That will not happen this year. We're in the middle of negotiating with everybody, and I really intend to have a budget that's stay where it's at. The reason that we've been increasing the reserve fund is just because we want to get as close to the end of the referendum as we can before we have to go back to the voters at that particular time. So really, it's pretty cost neutral. If you'll see a $36,000 difference between what we're bringing in and what we're sending out. So that's pretty close. The difference, again, is the big change is because, again, we're bringing in the money into the district that wasn't there before for the Q-Comp and for the integration funds. Those are there now. But really, between what we're spending and what we're bringing in, not much of a difference. Food service, you can see there, the changes, same with all the rest of them. Building construction will continue to go down as we spend the money off. Debt service will remain the same. Trust fund pretty much remains the same for what's spent. Any questions on that top part? And again, this is our proposed budget. You know, things can change fairly quickly. If you go all the way down to the bottom, really where the general fund is, the unassigned amount, the $1,109,466, that's where we will be at the end of this year, we believe. And again, if you look across, we believe that number will go down some yet. There's still some things that we need to, I believe, factor into that piece, so do not be surprised at the next meeting that is pretty close to what the original amount was. Again, I'm trying to build my budget to just kind of stay flat for this particular one. It will go down the next year after that. You will see the reserve fund drop for the 19, right, 17, 18, 19 year. Okay, with negotiations, it's going to be expected that the reserve fund goes down. So, but at least for now, it'll be kind of a flat year for the reserve fund between 16, 17, and 17, 18. Then food service, it shows you fund balance, community ed, capital, and health and safety, and then all the way down, you can see it. The long-term, just a point on the long-term facility maintenance, we're saving a little bit of money there. That number we hope to continue to grow, because as we look for projects to do, whether it be a roofing project or a HVAC project, that's, some of that saved money is what we'll use for that. And I think when the tech people, Garrick and I think Jonah here, both. The tech levy, you'll also, if they have their way, you'll see that go down too. So, but they'll explain that. That has to do with the screens that we've talked about in the past. They're going to kind of update you on that today. Any other questions about this? And again, you have a couple weeks to take a look at it before the next board meeting. If you have questions, just give me a call and I'll get you an answer. And for sure, probably other board members have the same questions. Like I say, really our proposed budget is going to be kind of flat for our reserve fund for the 17-18 school year. But that's built that way on purpose. Okay, no questions. You do not have to vote on this one. This will come up at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Number 4, review and consider approval of the annual ABE consortium agreement with Glacier Lake Consortiums for 2017-18.
So, this is an annual thing that we need to do for community ed. You should have seen this a few other times. Every year we have to get this one approved.
Make a motion.
Then you have the agreement, so.
I'll second it.
So I got a motion from Heidi and a second from Bruce. Any other further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. Number 5, Don Knoll will provide information concerning the Paynesville area school district's QCOM plan.
Am I loud enough so we don't have to go to the microphone?
I would say you probably should go to the microphone otherwise, although you could take the microphone up to.
Okay. Thank you. Diane and I are here because we are part of the steering committee for the QCOM. We're required by the state to have a presentation by June 15th, so that's the reason that we're here. We're just going to talk about it a little bit to give you some information, and the big thing is to tell you any of the types of adjustments that we are looking at making going into next year. Little background, we got our application in last summer with the understanding that if we were approved, we thought we would have 1 year to figure out implementation. We got our approval letter from the commissioner, and lo and behold, it said you need a plan in place by October 1 of 2017. So instead of dragging their feet, they kind of did it very quickly. So we had a very fast learning curve this year. And we appreciate everybody all the way through, all of the certified staff, and being very patient with us as we were working through it. In creating the plan, it was a collaborative plan. All 3 of the administrators plus a team of teachers were in on it, and we very much were heard, so it's very much a teacher ownership plan. The goal that has to be focused on is that we have to work in increasing student achievement through teacher accountability. And there's so much to it that is simply what we were doing, but now documenting it and getting it through. It provided additional funds to the district that can only be used for QCOM. And that goes to teachers as a form of additional compensation. The possibility in our plan is up to $935 per teacher for hitting the 4 categories that we have, and there are also some leadership positions that take portion of a teacher's compensation, and it's covered with our Q-Comp money that comes about. We decided as a committee that when we applied, we were only going to apply for the amount that was guaranteed by the state. We could come up with an additional $91 if we would approve it as a levy, but we decided that that would not be in the best interest of the entire school district. Things that we have as far as areas of accountability, we've got school-wide achievement goals. That's basically how we're doing on the MCA tests, and a portion of that money is going there. Student growth in the individual classroom that we put a greater emphasis on, because we felt that that snapshot that the MCAs is not necessarily the best indicator of how well our students are doing. So with our teacher or our student growth, each teacher has the opportunity to come up with a pre-test and post-test for their students to show that they've learned what they're supposed to for the school year. The other portion, which is part of our teacher contract and legislated by the state, is having a teacher observation and evaluation program. We've gone with the I-observation plan, so that kind of was non-negotiable. And then the other portion that we have is considered our professional responsibilities, so that you don't see the same people here all the time or on the same committees. We have two areas: PLC time, which is necessary for, it stands for Professional Learning Communities, where teachers are going to have that opportunity to provide ideas and collaboration to be able to help student achievement, what's working in your classroom, what's not, and then committee work and participation so that we get more involvement. And I think we saw that it was very effective. The plan that we have, we wrote as we looked at coming to the end of the year. We only came up with 3 adjustments because our learning curve was so fast this year, and we were like, did we do it right? And rather than making sweeping changes, we thought if we can keep it fairly similar, it's going to make that comfort zone much better for everybody. But a couple of things that we're looking at doing: number one, providing a more specific calendar. When we provided it, it just said in the month of October this should be done. So we're going to put some specific dates, and we're going to make sure people adhere to it. Then there will not be any questions that are going to come in there. We're going to give more specifics about pre and post test, the things that we want to emphasize there. It has to be, your pre and post test has to be specific to what you teach, which makes it very different from the elementary building to the secondary building, because the emphasis in the secondary building is going to be my curriculum area, where at the elementary they've got that broader range and we need to focus on reading and math that's going to come in. And then it has to be measurable. So we need to make sure that it's going to be aligned with the standards. It's going to measure what we're supposed to be teaching. We know the students aren't going to do really great when they take the pretest, because research tells us that you know probably around 40 to 45% of what should be going on, and the rest you should be taught, and just from general knowledge, so it needs to be measurable. And then the other thing is kind of a logistic thing. In talking to Amanda in payroll, we also have consulted many schools around us, and we have kind of one of the later dates as far as getting everything in. And there were a lot of people that were concerned about the fact that getting the additional compensation for the June 15th payroll included any of your extracurricular, different things like that. And it just kind of bunched up in the payroll office. And Amanda had asked, is there any way we could possibly move it back? And we're looking at that as a possibility and moving it back, so it would be like the end of May paycheck, so we don't have it bunched up and Uncle Sam gets a greater portion of what's in place. We also had the opportunity, we gave the opportunity for all of the teachers to participate in an end of the year survey. And we believe there's 74, either 73 or 74, and I'm not sure on that number. But we sent it out in a Google form, and we had 68 of the teachers respond, which I think is probably an overall record for the amount of participation that was there. Overall, it was very positive. We did have a few people that looked at it for, we gave a comment section, and we're looking at those to come up with some of the adjustments and making sure that we do some really good clarification at the beginning of the year, because we'll hit the ground running in August. Just kind of overall, there were 10 teachers overall that didn't get the entire amount because they did not complete a portion of it. There are some things that, as we've talked about, are going to be optional. And if you choose not to do them, you're not going to get that additional compensation. But all 73 or all 74 of the teachers that are employed got at least some portion of the compensation. We do have one thing that's outstanding, and that is going to be with the school-wide achievement goal. As a steering committee, we looked at it and said, because that has to be based on final results that come out from MDE, that portion of the compensation, depending on when they get us our MCA and MTAS information, is what we will come up with. So that will be a other thing. From this building, the secondary building, for the most part, it went as smooth as we could expect with our fast learning curve. We had lots of questions that we emailed back and forth and got our question, got consensus, and most of the comments are that, it's only going to get better.
Obviously at the elementary building, same thing. Everybody felt that it was flowing along and understanding it as we went. I think a lot of the census over there was things we're doing already. So now it's just a matter of record keeping for it. And I did see some people, the committee portion, a couple of people that haven't been on committees did step up, and we're doing some extra work with the committee, so that was good to see, and that's where we wanted some leadership expectations. For the elementary school, some of our pre and post tests was doing some of our assessments, the Ames Web and STAR 360, using those to utilize before and after testing for the beginning of math.
If you have any questions, we will try to answer them. If not, we've met the requirements that the state has, and we're done.
So what does next year bring then?
Next year, in looking at it, we will have a little bit of revision of our school-wide achievement goal based on whatever the data comes back, how we did with the MCAs. Preliminary results show that we've made some significant improvement in some of the areas, and we've kind of flatlined in others. As far as student growth, we decided that we were going to leave that amount at the same, that half of our students had to show growth. We had discussion going round and round on that. And like Diane had said, at the elementary, they're going to use Ames Web and STAR, where in the secondary building, we had the opportunity to create our own pre and post tests as long as it aligned with the standards that needed to be taught in our classes. We're going to tweak those. And then I think that the other thing, and kind of timing is everything, we were both at a workshop today about how to make PLCs more effective. And we got a start in moving in that direction. What they told us today, I think, was that perfect ideal school, and we're going to be someplace in the middle next year, because we need to work our way that direction in getting it to be a highly functioning PLC, so it focuses on student achievement and what we can do with students, but we need to kind of move that way and not make, if we make that jump, I think we're going to lose a lot of people on board with what we want to do, because there's some people that are saying, oh, we're going to do this, and then they're going to make us do more and more and more. We're not doing more and more and more. We're just doing what we're supposed to do and being accountable for it.
Could you just explain to the board or in the community what PLC is?
Sure. PLC stands for Professional Learning Communities, and depending on which building we're in, it is set up so that it may be grade level, it may be department, it may be a combination of those. And what's going to happen is it's going to give teachers the opportunity to collaborate with other teachers, finding out what is best practice, what's working in their classes, also to work towards getting more consistent best practice and teaching so that our students all have the best opportunity to learn. And it's focused on student achievement, and you can hit it probably a wide variety of ways. And Diana and I had also gone to another clinic in February where there's some questions that came up in our survey about PLCs, about QComp, and comparing it to other schools. The thing that the state did with QComp was they let us tailor it to our schools. rather than saying, here's a one-size-fit-all. Detroit Lakes, who's got 2.5 times as many teachers as we do, has a lot more opportunities for leadership roles and those types of things. There was another question that came up in the survey. Schools around us are getting much more money. Well, they maybe decided that they were going to levy that additional $91. We looked at it as a steering committee and said we didn't think that that was going to be in the best interest of the school. It was already additional money coming in for teachers for making sure that we're addressing student achievement. But as we know, going and asking for money can sometimes be very dangerous.
I think one of the changes we're looking for at the PLC is using more data and setting a goal for quarterly or whatever we plan on using to make that improvement in our classroom. So more mainstream classroom changes versus some of the pull-out extracurricular programs.
And the big thing is, we hear a lot that teachers are silos. You're the only one that teaches that, so you kind of draw into yourself and think that you're the only resource. But making sure that it's a collaborative effort, that we're looking at all of our kids being all of our kids.
And just as a side note to the board, that steering committee that they're a part of have done an excellent job on this. They don't get any compensation for it and put a lot of time in and have put just a fantastic plan together. I can't say enough about that committee.
Thank you.
All right. No more, Don?
No.
No statistics?
No, I told you we were just gonna talk tonight.
Okay,
Kind of on vacation a little bit.
okay. We'll let you get by this time. Okay, review and consider approval of the 2017 and 18 secondary student parent handbook. It was in your packet.
Yep, and I think you guys, everyone received it correct email.
Yep.
So certainly if you have questions as we're going through it, you may have noticed the index page we haven't changed yet because we're gonna format after our meeting tonight with the changes that we're making. One of the things, let's see, if you'll look at admit class slips, we just rephrase that. It's basically the same process, except since we're now down to one office and we have moved Brenda up to the window up here in the high school office, because then just we have the extra manpower to deal with that in the morning, but better communication between the administrative assistants and her. We made that adjustment about halfway through the year, and it flowed really nicely as an experiment, so we've adjusted that. So we're gonna have both middle school and high school students use the same process. So that's kind of where that asterisk came out. The next one, we have this in 3 different sections: the athletic activity pass and athletic fees, non-athletic fees, and they were labeled different things because people would call them different things, and because needing to put some other pieces like the full hazing and discipline, we needed pages without costing us more money. So we decided just to call it one thing, have it in there one time, and try to educate our kids this is where it can be found, and our parents. So it is the same policy, we just took the repetitiveness out. We thought that was helpful at the time, but needing the space, needed to come up with some, just because of the new regulations of what's suggested to have in your handbook. Any questions on any of those changes? Okay. Putting down here. Oh. That's that one. That's that one. Oh. Then, Bob, it's under lunch account procedures after lockdowns. This is one that Bob came across just recently, since you received this, is it the federal
The federal,
dollars?
yep.
Are saying we need to have our whole process given to our parents and students as far as how we handle lunch accounts and those procedures, et cetera. Granted, we needed more room to do that because we just had a short little summary in there. So went to our policy and the actual secondary building procedures that we talked about probably, 2 months ago. We have put the whole procedure in there. And that's what you'll see in that space. And that's new since you guys have received yours. Okay, so we just transplanted that whole part of the policy over since that was required. It hasn't changed since then. The telecommunication devices, this is obviously gonna really change this coming year. We have now, like, all users must observe the technology acceptable use policy, which we will be getting passed over this summer. We haven't finalized that as of yet, but wanted to have it in there. And when I go through with all the students, we will go through that specifically, as well as Garrick and I are going to be having meetings at registration with parents as well as the students, and we'll be covering that at those grade level meetings with parents. So to have it in here, not having that finalized, we thought that was the best way to do that. Okay. And that's all of outside of the formatting and fixing the index page once we're completed.
So,
Any-
I'm just looking at it
Yep.
here, where are the page numbers?
Page numbers, when we put it into their formatting program, it formats all the page numbers. So we can't put page numbers on ours because it formats once it goes there, and that's where Cassandra has to redo the index page when we put it into their program. So it just.
Truly, we bought one of the first software programs I've seen that you couldn't put page numbers on.
Well, I mean, we could here, but it's gonna change.
Because, like, while you were talking about the telecommunication, I'm looking, tells me go to
Yeah.
page 42. Well,
It's-
where the heck is that? This is useless for me
Yeah.
to look at.
It's gonna change. I mean, it would, because their program, I guess we just haven't put it in here because it's going to change it when we put it into their program. So it would be in two sides and we'd have to delete it anyway, so. And I guess I can do that for next year and then we'll delete it out after this meeting.
So
So-
just a general question.
Yep.
So we're looking for pages. When I first started through this thing, and I get up to the very beginning and the first number of pages, you have an area in there where the data, so I'll let you guess on the page, but it's absences, where your data starts in the center of the page, where everything else has your numbers and your categories more further to the left.
Yep.
That page is right there.
That's
It looks like
how,
it's just copied from some other place and stuck here.
that's how and that's part of the formatting, that when we transfer it over, we'll format in their book, and that's what Cassandra will be checking. But it does, if you look at, for example, like this page right here, Bruce.
Yeah, when I get down further, I can see that.
Yeah.
But see, like even there, when you're looking for pages where it says C, if you go down further, then it moves further to the left of the page. So if pages is a cost, like you said in the beginning, I'd get it so it looks similar.
It won't, their setup for their production purposes won't allow us to do that.
This goes into the handbook, right?
Yes.
And
And
that's
the handbook
that's the
is-
planner that they get.
That's the planner.
Yeah, I
It's
think
big.
part of what happens is because they have a specific formatting for the planner, it's hard for us to format until it gets in there, and then we have to adjust to it because that will format everything according to the small thing, but if you've ever taken a big document and put it into a smaller one, the formatting can get really wacky. So I think that's part of what the thing is, and their software has to be the piece that does that.
And this is the actual policy, so we kept everything, the attendance policy, the discipline policy, that is the complete policy. We didn't paraphrase that at all, so that is how our policy is written into it.
Well, I wasn't looking for a paraphrase, I was
And
looking to just
attendance.
make it look similar.
Yeah.
Because when I get further down, you're gonna see everything is right over on the left side of the page.
Yeah, and that's
So I kinda
because-
start, half the page is full, then a quarter of the page is full, and then get to the end and another page is full.
Yeah, and those pieces are paraphrased for that. So, but when we do get it over and format into their production part of the planner,
Okay, I have a question. Laura.
yes.
I tried to call you today to get this taken care
I
of before
was
the
at
meeting.
the
but-
meeting with
No,
the
the phones are all down today.
Yeah.
Oh, that, yeah, the power.
I was told that the school's phone was disconnected. That's one way to take care of it.
I heard our power at our
It
house
saves
was
on
down.
calls.
I just have one question
Yes.
about vehicles.
Yes.
You took out the part about having a sticker.
Yes, because we
But
no
then-
longer have, except for the NHS has, because if they're part of National Honor Society, they have a special privilege
Right.
of parking up here. So we have stickers, so we're able to know whose vehicle is whose.
Okay.
And that's what we check.
But it also says then later at the vehicle registration, all vehicles must display proper registration. What are they displaying to show that they are properly registered?
Oh, that might be a piece that we didn't pick up. I'll go back and take that out. That would have been with the original stickers.
So I guess then my question is how, they do register their cars.
We do not have, and we did run into an issue this year with, when we had stickers and students had to buy parking passes, and we did a dog search. We could find the student of who's the dog, or if the dog hit on a car, through our stickers.
But we didn't have stickers this year.
But we didn't have stickers this year, so that was kind of, it made it a little more difficult, but the fact that we have a police liaison gave us access to have them pull the registration numbers if we needed. But we also use the intercom to say if you have a vehicle of like this license plate. So that is a conversation as far as we could, and we didn't have our admin meeting today. But if we do go back and register all the cars and just not charge them and give them a sticker, because then we have immediate knowledge of
I
who
think that
each
would be-
car, I think that is what I would like to do, and then that registration piece makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, it says all
But I
vehicles must be
haven't-
registered. So either that is taken out completely
Out,
or you have to.
and I guess that would be a question I had for this group is, you know, it made it very easy when we're doing different things outside, if car lights are on, or if we're doing a dog search, or something happens in the parking lot, that
I don't think it
if
would
we
be a bad
have.
idea to have every car be registered, just so you
And
know
it's a-
whose car it is.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with that.
It's a minimal cost as far as, you know, through ours. So, and if that's the case, then during open house, or registration, we would do the same thing, where just have all the students come through, register,
Register their
and
car
get a
and-
sticker,
Yep.
and we're good.
Yep. That would be probably way better managing of the,
But then you need to get a process put in place too, because if somebody's not driving that vehicle for a couple of days and
we
the family and somebody
usually-
else shows up,
We-
that they're
yeah,
supposed
we
to
get the
report to you.
Yeah, and usually the kids are pretty good. They want to work with us, but we usually get the reusable or restickable ones. So like my car's in the shop, so Dad let me use theirs, and we just go through and remind the kids to, you know,
Grab it.
put their sticker in their window.
And if we're
that
not
type of
charging
thing.
them anyway, it's just.
Right.
it's-
And if they lose it, we
Yeah.
can give them another one. It's not as big of a deal.
Right.
If they lose one, it's just for us to be able to more conveniently talk to them if there's an issue.
My issue wasn't whether they get them or not, it's just that it seemed like there was
Right.
duplication.
And that
There
was
a
part
contradiction in
of when
here.
we were originally gonna have our admin
Okay.
meeting and we hadn't yet, so.
Okay.
So if the board is okay with that, I'd like to leave that in and then we'll do a registration of all the cars. And just remind kids to get their cars
Yep.
registered. And our police liaison was a big help with that in the beginning of the year and kind of throughout the year doing just the parking lot monitoring. So, any other questions?
You're trying to save room, and I noticed when I went through that there's a disclosure and release of information authorization for a background check. It's printed out in the handbook.
Yep, if we have students also that monitor activities, so they also are subject to that if they're volunteering.
But this is something that they have to sign and turn in, right?
The background check,
This form that they have to fill out.
it's a copy of the form. It's a copy of the form. They actually go through Amanda.
I was just wondering why
Yeah.
we even have a copy of it in here.
It's so they know what they're doing or what they're gonna be asked to do. So if we need additional pay, we could, we haven't had to. Sometimes it's one of those things I don't necessarily have, goes through Amanda. So this way they can say, well, this is what you're gonna be asked to do. So it's additional information if we need more room. It's something that we could take out.
It just seems like, you know, they go into the office to sign these papers anyway.
Right.
It seems like a waste of space.
Right. So I'll look and see how we come up. We just don't
Okay.
want to have to add pages,
No, no.
you
I
know,
was
so that
thinking
was a good
delete
thing to
that.
be able to delete it. Yep.
Okay.
But in the handbook, you also have to pay for so many pages, so just
Yeah.
taking that one page out won't
Isn't
probably
going
save us
to, we have
unless
to go
there's
by
an
8
amount.
pages. So sometimes our biggest is not to go over, but like you said, it's something in the future if we want to make an adjustment on. But I think we have all our big policies actually spelled out. Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'll make a motion to approve.
So I got a motion from Heidi,
Second.
second from Lou. Any other further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. Numbers.
Sorry, was that second, Rick?
No, Lou.
Ooh, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
Discussions regarding the one-to-one initiative. Looks like we have the crew here. Garrett and Joan.
The A-team showed up.
The A-team?
Yep. All right, today we're just gonna give you an update on the one-to-one conversations, what we've been going through, talking about. Obviously, we've been doing a lot behind the scenes, planning everything. We have a lot of stuff coming. Like Lori mentioned, we have registration night and open house. We're gonna probably, at those times, conduct parent meetings where parents can come in and get whatever information that they need. We'll educate them as much as possible. Like we've talked about before, we're not the first school to do it. We're not the first school to run those registration and open house meetings. And so we'll kind of follow a similar format. Parents can pick up forms at that time, fill out insurance policy or waivers, whatever they want at that time. And then the goal is for that first week of school, that's when we will pass out devices if students have their paperwork in. So basically, we'll take that Thursday of the first week of school in first period. 12th graders will come down second period, 11th graders, and just go through the day all the way down to sixth graders at the end of the day. So that's kind of the rollout process and what we see it looking like. Financially, we've worked through it with Bob. To start off, over next year, ordering everything right out of the gate, it does put us minus $5,000 in the technology referendum. So as you guys saw those numbers, that would be totally wiped. However, by the end of the technology referendum, the 2024, 2025, we replenish that and there would be $100,000 sitting in there at that time. And so we spend it up front and then we slowly gain every year. Because every year it costs us about $40,000 to purchase those new devices each year. And we bring in about $65,000 that's geared towards that.
And that $100,000 is for which screen?
Those numbers I just gave you would be for a touchscreen model.
Okay, and that's,
Yep, and so the 20, if we don't go touchscreen, we would it's $25,000, $23,000 difference, non-touch versus touch. And so I know it back, whatever it was, a couple months ago now, when the students were here and you kind of talked to them about touchscreen versus non-touchscreen, they gave their opinions. Many of our students have not used touchscreen. However, if you think back to when like texting first came out and you wanted to hit a C on your phone, you had to hit the number 2 button 3 times to get there. No, it's just the matter of where technology is going. Next year will be the last year that they make non-touch models. They're all going away from it because the touchscreen assembly line is the same price now. And so currently for this year, it's going to be $50 more, but in the future, those numbers are so close, they're not even going to offer the non-touch screens anymore. Now with these Chromebooks, you can put all Android apps on it, so similar to an iPad, putting all of the apps on an iPad, you can now put apps on a Chromebook. And so as you know, if you have an iPad or an iPhone, those are all touch enabled. So if you don't use it with touch, then you're using a mouse to try to control a program that's designed for touch. So really, can we get by with non-touch screens? Yes. Will we see a major issue next year? No. However, if these devices are going to be in our district for 5 years, year 2, wishy-washy, year 3, 4, and 5, we will be behind the curve. And so we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot right out of the gate if we go with the non-touch model. And so that's where the issue is. So next year, I wouldn't see any issue going non-touch. However, we still need 4 more years out of those devices. And that's when it's going to catch up to us. And so being that it's that $23,000 difference, it'd be really hard to swallow that over 4 years, shooting ourselves in the foot over that amount of money for what we're getting for the device.
and part of the other problem is that you would start with non-touch screens and you'd be buying more regular ones to replace. And pretty soon you'd have some touch screen, some not touch screen, and it would be our older students who have the non-touch screen and our younger ones who have the touch. I do, from my perspective, think it's worth it just making the leap into it, and that's the way the technology is going to go, then I think we need to go that way, particularly the apps. If the apps are starting to be built for a touch type of screen, it becomes problematic for us to go the other way.
This is one of the projects too that you want to do right the first time you do it and not regret what you did to start it.
Well, it would be a shame to enter the project too, knowing up front that we're going to get behind right away. I mean, that doesn't even
Exactly.
logical. I know that when I look at some of the laptops I use at the office, I mean, lots of them have the touchscreen. You have everything else. It just appears you have a couple options of how you want to make it work. And
And we're going to hold Jonah and Gary
well, it makes sense to
responsible
me.
for making sure that the students use those touch screens too.
Because
So
5 years from now, there'll be something change, and we're gonna deal with one that we don't even know about today. This makes sense, at least maybe we run for a long time with some real consistency.
And I met with a lot of students, all school year long. I just go into a classroom, hey, can I have 2 minutes of the students' time? Ones that were actually using those devices, the ones you guys have, and just ask, what do you like, what don't you like? And so their feedback was, for a lot of them, especially the 10th, 11th, 12th graders, why isn't this a touch? And so we just cleaned them 3 weeks ago, at the end of the school year. We wipe all the devices at the end of the year. If you looked at the screens, it said, apparently this student wanted a touch device. They're covered in fingerprints. And so it was amazing. But one of the complaints from students were, why aren't these touch? And we said, well, they might be in the future, but those were the carts that we've ordered. Touch did not exist when we ordered those carts. A couple other little things, on this device in particular, the keyboard was too small. The device you have is a little bigger than this one. This one, we had 2 teachers try this out. Don Canola was one of them, and Todd Spanier was another one. This will be similar to the model that you have, where it is the 360 hinge and it is touchscreen. However, HP did not have this version out yet when we wanted teachers to pilot this in December. So yours will be similar to this one, except it will be the HP brand, same as what you have in front of you right now, and that's what the students would have also.
Yep, and your guys' new Chromebooks were ordered last week with the teachers, so those will be coming in within a couple weeks.
any questions for these guys?
Will the kids be able to put games on their devices.
Anything that happens through our school filter, and Jonah can obviously add to that because he does more of that. But
At this time, the way the management is, we'll have to approve anything they want, and there'll be a process for that.
Why should that be any different? I have to get your approval for anything I want to put on my computer.
Yeah, you should be fine with it then, huh? That's just making sure that it goes with our policies, runs on our devices, it's not gonna cause any harm, all that stuff. Just to be more proactive for
I was
us.
just wondering.
Yep.
There could be a lot of distractions.
Yep, exactly.
and there's been surrounding districts that put 0 constraints on the device. Because the other thing was, well, then it's a behavior issue. If they put that on and they're abusing it at the wrong time, just like anything else, then it's a behavior issue. So then you have to deal with that problem. And so, we have the capability to lock that down, and so we will. So if we need something on there, it literally takes, if we wanted to send it out to 475 devices in this school, it takes about 5 seconds to do. Jonah just enters it in, whatever it may be, ESPN.com, for example, and he can instantly have that app on all of those devices in a click of a couple buttons.
I like that you're being proactive.
We'll try our hardest.
Yep.
For sure.
Definitely.
Anything else?
Any concerns with the board? Like I said, we're going to that 120 that you saw in the technology that we've kind of saved will be gone, and then I'll also have to supplement it with a little bit of my capital dollars. But I do think if we're going to do this, I think that's the way to go.
All I've heard from people, older people especially, all they've heard from their family members from other systems and stuff, whenever there's one-to-one, they're all talking about it. So now how do we get the word out to them that we're doing a better job of management than everybody else doing?
Time will show it.
Yeah, time will show.
Well, we got the
They'll see.
good thing to write up when we do that, and that we switch it to the touchscreens and get it out, because I think you already have a list that some of this stuff can go to people.
And we have a
And we can-
Bulldog Tech blog too that we put out, post every once in a while, so
Mhm.
there's stuff out there.
Yep. And more will be coming out all summer long, obviously, as we get closer to the date, so. We're
Thank you
excited.
for all your hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So you're all set to have the Paynesville Press come in a number of times when this stuff arrives?
Yeah,
We'll do all
Like
the
one
PR
with
we
all
can,
the
yeah.
boxes, and you can
Yeah.
tell them all these great things,
Show
and then
all the
come in the
pallets.
next
Yeah.
time? Oh, good.
We've already been taking pictures.
Good.
A whole bunch.
All right.
So, It's pretty cool. Last year, actually, we had a lot of students come through. I know your daughter was one of them that came through when the devices that you guys have, so we had the 90 teacher devices show up. And we had about 40 students, 50 students wander through our office that day, and they were just blown away. Because we're programming 6 at a time. There's little robots that we have that plug into the USB port, and it does all the keystrokes for us. And they were just amazed by it. So it was really neat. From this side, you don't always get to see that student reaction. So when the students were in there, seeing their reaction to it was really awesome. So we'll see more of it, hopefully.
Big wow factor.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fun. We're even amazed by it.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so, let me see, we're going down to personnel. Paper. Don't know my technology.
Conditions go.
Right here.
Gonna have to, time out. My computer went
Went to sleep.
Went gone. Went gone. Everything went gone.
Computer does that. I
The
don't know
computer
why
did. Was
that-
that, I didn't touch it. Oh, yeah, you did. I did not. Nope.
Mark, I got it right here.
Do you?
Right here.
Yep. I'll have it here in a second, guys.
You want my computer or my paper? Could adjourn and...
We could adjourn for 10 minutes. No, I'm more tech savvy than that.
apparently.
All right, so we're going on to personnel. Review and consider approval of the following staff for the public, or for Paynesville Area Summer Morning Targeted Service, the PATS program, for June 19th through June 23rd. We have Jennifer Wirtz, 21 hours, Kim Jones, 26.5 hours, Sue Teicher, 17 hours, and Wanda Hazy, 21 hours.
This is targeted services that pays for itself by having the number of students. I'm assuming, Dave, that's math and reading primarily? Social skills. Yep.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Cheryl and a second from Rick. Any other further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. Number 2, review and consider approval of Brad Pence to teach the middle school, high school targeted service remediation program for approximately 64 hours from July 10th, 2017 through August 3rd, 2017.
Anything you want to add to that, Lori?
No, it's reading and math in a middle school, and then it's credit recovery for the high school students so that they are able to stay within our building and not go attend the ALC in the fall so that they can get their credits in. If they missed a credit here or there, because they can only take so many during the school day, during the school year. So this is a way we can keep our students. We started it about 6 years ago. So Brad facilitates that with the use of an online program called E2020.
And it's, again, it's targeted services, so it's cost neutral.
So moved.
Second.
So I got a motion from Cheryl and a second from Bruce. Any other further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. Number 3, review and consider approval of the resignation of Polly Kern, PAWS Assistant, effective June 19th, 2017.
I'll abstain from this vote.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I got a motion from Heidi,
A second.
second from Cheryl. Any other further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. Review and consider approval of hiring Dana Gilk, PAWS Assistant, for an average of 25 hours per week effective June 19th, 2017 through August 30th, 2017.
This is a replacement for the resignation.
I move.
I got a motion from Rick and a second from Lou. Any other further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. I think that's all the additionals, right? Did I miss anything?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, informational reports. Elementary principal report. David Orline.
Hello.
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 Just a few things about the elementary over the summer. Will probably be the busiest summer we have as far as the number of students in the building. With our breakfast and lunch program, we are feeding over 60 students, over 60 people. There are a few adults that eat per meal for breakfast and for lunch. PAWS plays into that a lot, but as the summer goes on, we're hoping to get more students that are just walking in. We've had a lot of the neighborhood kids that are coming in and eating, so we're really, really happy with that program. Then we also have PAWS in our building. And then the targeted services, the morning team program will be at the elementary, and then also we have the early childhood summer school that will be going on also, and that's through the West Central Ed. Like I said, the lunch breakfast program is going really well. We just want to hopefully continue to see it grow as the summer goes on. Building updates, if you've driven by the playground, you'll see that the whole east side, there is no windows or wall, and they're moving pretty quickly on that. It's always a little nerve-wracking to have a major construction project going on and wanting to make sure that it's done before school. I spoke to a middle school principal today, actually, and they have a building project going on, and it's not going to be done, and they're trying to scramble and figure out how they can get that finished. We continue to work on staffing. I will need to hire a couple paraprofessionals, and we're still working on our early childhood teacher. We did do interviews for that last week. just spending the month wrapping up reports and working with Katie in the office. This is her first summer that she's been in there, so she's learning as she goes, and so we'll just continue to plug away and get ready for the school year in the fall. Any questions for me at all?
All right, thanks, David.
The plywood didn't look half bad, I do have to say.
What's that?
I know, where the walls were placed, the plywood didn't look too bad when I came up, and I thought, doesn't say a lot for what we had in there. So I think it'll be a nice improvement.
Looks like an abandoned building.
Looks like the storm.
Yeah, exactly. All right, secondary principal, Lori Flora.
Yeah, the year is completed, and our office has been busy. We're going to be getting final transcripts out for all our seniors. We tried something new this year and used our mass email system to have students reply back where they want their transcripts sent to, etc. And it has been very easy. We should have used that many years ago because, and has limited the questions, and they'll be all out to colleges, etc. Summer school notifications went out, and this week I will be sending out applications for all our students that will be taking college courses next year, and they have not taken a college course, they'll be taking the AccuPlacer tests this summer, so we can get those submitted. If they don't make the cutoff that the college requires, then we look at, there is an appeal process we can put into effect to give them that opportunity if we think that is something that would be good for them. But that will require, kind of some conferences with the teacher and the student. We are also, I'm looking forward to meeting with a group of teachers. We're starting a process looking at our grading system, and this is going to be a fairly lengthy discussion. Going to look at grade inflation, going to look at should college courses receive more than a 4.0, just some various questions that have come up through students, my principal advisory, as well as teachers. So we're going to start the discussion through a grading committee made up of teachers and a few students, and then so you will probably hear more as the year progresses. It wouldn't be anything that we would look at implementing this year because there's a lot of pieces that are involved with that, but it may be something that you'll hear some more information about down the road. So we're going to start that committee here. And then with our meeting that we were at today, our PLC committee here is going to be looking at implementing some of the information that we received and kind of looking at how do we want to move forward at the start of the year so we can, make that transition to being even more effective with our PLCs to improve our student input. So anything else? Any questions that you might have for me? We have students scheduled for next year. It was a challenge with a lot of individual classes, but I think we got it, so.
Good.
All
Thank
right.
you, Lori. We're going to skip number 3, and we're going to move down to number 4, paraprofessional negotiation. Bruce?
I think maybe Bruce could just get all of these at
Can I
one
just
fall
keep on
swoop.
going? Yeah.
So you're going to touch on the teachers, food service, and custodial negotiations, correct?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, teachers' negotiations, I'll just quick start there. That's moving along pretty well. We've had more meetings with them, so that is very, very close. The paraprofessionals, food service, and custodial, we're all kind of still in motion. We had a couple of meetings today where these folks finally found what the state gave us for monies transferred to potentially their contracts. So they're able to look at that and some other information. So I'd say we're moving along really, really well. So.
Good. You're going to guarantee signatures within the next couple weeks?
No, they may take a little longer.
Okay.
Each group has their different, it seems like they all have a different analysis. And so it may take some more time than that.
And it's a little harder to find meeting dates that work for everybody during the summer, so.
As someone who's new, can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah.
What would a normal timeline be for this? Would by fall normally all these contracts are signed, or is that not normal?
I would guess that there have been years that you've gone well into the next school year before you have settled. If we could settle this summer, I would be happy.
Yeah.
So my intent would be to get everything agreed to at least by the start of the school year, because union, or the groups still have to vote on things too, and sometimes it's hard to get those dates to make a vote on something.
Yeah.
We have really good people that we work with. Bob is very, very straightforward with everybody, so everybody's on the same page. And I would believe, even last time, we settled faster than most schools around. And I'm guessing that same thing is gonna happen here again.
It's my hope.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Bruce. Administrative report. Robert?
Just a couple things. I thought graduation went very well. All of you were there, so I thank the board for being there, but I thought it was very well done. The weather kind of held out, so it went well. We're bidding both the dairy and the bakery bids this year through a quarry in Albany. It is our hope that by combining these when we do them, that we might get a little bit of a break on the amount that we need to pay for them. So we're going to do that. And the other thing that we're going to try this time is a 2-year bid instead of a 1-year bid. So it'll be an interesting piece. We're hoping that it'll work well for us by going through Albany and Rocori and us 3 schools bidding those together. And we'll see how the 2-year piece works. If it doesn't work, then we'll go back, but our hope is that this could be a good thing for the district. As Bruce has mentioned, we're still in the middle of negotiations, and that still will take quite a bit of time over the summer. Next facility meeting will be on June 20th. I've sent that email out to the facility committee. It'll be June 20th. We're posting it now. It'll be at 6 o'clock, and it's in the Elementary School Media Center. So June 20th, Elementary School Media Center for the next facility meeting. Again, that'll be a special board meeting, so everybody can be there. That's the way we're posting it. As David mentioned, we're moving forward on that window project. It'll be quite a change that we're hoping that when this is all said and done, we're looking forward to it. We're going to do some testing that wasn't in the original budget because we were under bid. We're going to spend a little bit of money to have somebody come in and test that vapor barrier piece between the walls to make sure that it's set up and is meeting the specs that we want. It's really just double checking on our construction company to make sure that it meets the specs that we had required. So that'll be about $1,000 extra, but we saved about 20 on the bid process, so we thought it was worth our time to do it. Poles were kind of bent at the stadium playground. We've straightened them out. We're also looking at ways that this won't happen again, and one of our pieces that Donnie's looking into is putting a pole within the pole to add a little bit more strength to it. We'll probably have to replace a couple of them that bent down, and certainly have to keep a closer eye on it.
Was that the wind?
We're unsure whether it was the wind. Yes. One of the things that we're certainly going to be watching is students using it as a trampoline. Yes, so if that's the case, then we would certainly like to catch whoever's using it as a trampoline. So, but at least that's what has come back to us, but we don't have anything other than that right now, but we're certainly looking into it. Either way, if they're going to bend like that, we need to figure out a way to do it, but if we put a pole within the pole, we believe that will do what we need to have done. And I think he straightened them out as good as we can until we probably replace 2 of the poles. Working on liability insurance, that's just been an adventure. We're just starting to get the quotes in now. I think once I get the quote, I may ask one of my board members to sit down with me and kind of take a look at those. I don't know who that would be, Bruce, but just to kind of look at the liability, kind of compare what we're getting for each of the policies, and then we'll have to make a decision by July 1st so that we are on board with our new piece, because again, Riverport pulled out and now we have to replace them as the company for liability. So we're looking at that, and it's taken a lot more time than I thought it would. I think that's about it. We're still looking at budget adjustments, and next year's budget, there'll be a few, as I mentioned, that I believe will come in yet for that, and we'll have that on the second board meeting in June.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Any other board sharing? Anybody else?
Motion to adjourn.
Sure. We got a motion from Lou. Second from Randy. Any other further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried.